Hi everyone. We're waiting for Sister Nga to join us, so we'll wait for a few moments with that. Go. What I wish to say, this is perhaps what this pertains to and what it entails worldwide. This is one of the most important, I would say, discussions and experiences that needs to be discussed worldwide now, but also the impeccable divine timing for it. So I see Sister Nya. I just said she wants to join, and I just said adding, so we're in the process. Give it a few moments. There she is. Bring them on camera. Viewers. Just give us a few moments as we go through these. Bear with me. Tap the show button to feature this link. Well, still waiting here, Sister Nya. Let me see what else I can do. Oh, seems I sent you an answer, or I sent you a request. All right, add. So I should be adding you. I believe you. Oh, I think you're coming there.
Hi.
Yes. Hey, woohoo! Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well. Can you hear?
All right. Yes, I can hear you, but I don't see any picture. I don't see any video.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So just
It's just
yeah.
yeah. Might need to turn your camera on, perhaps. Yes, everyone, bear with us. We're just getting set up and how to use this technology. And for tech savvy ones, it may be a breeze. However, it's still not as simple with Facebook yet. I had to do this from my phone so I could add someone, and hopefully in the near future that you can do it from the laptop, which would be much easier. But Facebook is just not advanced that far yet. Can you hear me, Sister Nya? No, she might have went out. All right. Let us try again. I usually, yeah, I usually don't do this as everyone can understand. It says you're unable to join because of technical issues, but we'll try it once again. Let's see. Add. Oh, no, that's wrong. I hit the wrong one. Apologize. Oh, there's this one. All right, I'll try it again.
So
Yeah, there you are.
yeah,
But we have no video.
I think Nessa mentioned there was she can see us both. I
Oh,
guess.
she
Saw something.
can.
Could you check
All
the
right.
comments? I can't.
Yeah, I'll check the comments. May someone comment if they can see us both? Ben, can you do a check, please? Might be just on my end that I cannot see you.
I can see you.
Yeah. However, let me just, what's this? God. No, as long as everyone else can see you. Yeah. All right. Looks like they can see us both, Sister Nya. That's great. Perfect. Yeah, see you both. Yeah, thank you, Cindy, Dalbert, and yeah, and can hear perfectly. So we're all set to go. Before we begin, I'd just like to say, a little bit. What we're doing is we're going to hear Sister Nya's story and what I call and others the unlawful removal of her children from her. So there are many. What we are doing is documenting actual statements of facts and truths that prove how this is unlawful. And what we are encountering is many violations of human rights. We're even encountering violations of their own Austrian laws. This is where Sister Nya is at. And also, let us say, I'm very familiar with the case because I know physically Sister Nya and the children, and we have met at least a couple times in the past, and Femke does as well. And having said this, what I can ensure all of you is that Nya is a fantastic, amazing mom, and the relationship between her and her children is absolute love and is so important. And we need to state that of Sister Nya's character because somewhat the system is trying to use that the children are in imminent danger when they're with Sister Nya. But having said this, during a lot of recent research, what we are actually finding is that the children are at a huge systematic risk, which is actually, in my full opinion, endangering the children every second that they are not with their mother. For example, one of the bases is that, to my knowledge, no children ever vanished in the care of Sister Nya. So 100% that there is no risk to that degree. When we compare and we begin to look into Austria, even though it's a refugee asylum seekers, what we have seen over the last several years, over 20,000 children were last seen in Austria. So what we're beginning to look at here is that the systematic risk, if you will, with that huge number, is at least 20,000 times greater if you want to perceive it that way. But what it's showing is that there is a risk. And not only that, let me just say, let's say where the children are being held, that they say it's fully secure. Again, we go to, is it really? Because we're over 20,000 children have gone missing in Austria over the last several years, that would suggest that that there is something bigger that could be possibly organized at taking children. So it leaves a lot of doubt out there. Are the children actually safer in the system's care or Nya's? But I mean, common sense tells everyone with this that they're most safest with the mother. But with that, what I also say is any questions, please don't ask them on here because we're on our phones. What we will be doing is putting this live out on YouTube, and later, if ones have questions, please save them. You can put them on the YouTube or on posts, and we can answer them that way later. Um, this is a huge huge micro example of what's occurring worldwide. So this is very important, and we're going to get Sister Nga's story, and we're also going to bring up during the story some things, how it is wrong and about your individual rights and what have you. What I feel, I put this number one because the subject is so extensive, and as we go through um, this process of getting Sister Nya and her children reunited, there are steps that we are taking that will be are very lawful steps that will be effective for others worldwide that have had these situations. So, with that, I believe where we should begin, Sister Nya, if it's where you feel or you begin where you wish, I believe we should just have a summary of the background story of what occurred.
So, to make a short summary about that, I was in a relation and I separated myself from him because of his abusive behavior against I and against my children. And I have to use that word. It's something, you know, most of you would know about the narcissistic and empathic relationship. But nevertheless, we went through, you know, I tried to talk things out, you know, and to find the best solution in the interest of the children, which means like to have a flexible visiting times. Since this was not what he wanted, he started to went to court, but also started to run around and get people against me. And also, you know, with the police making reports of I, which was not truthfully. And everyone started to attack I. I was always in that time also in contact with the woman of the child welfare. I have informed her about every incident and what is happening. But none of them also in court didn't really listen to you. So meaning like, you know, if you're bringing up evidence, they wouldn't take it in, or, you know, if you try to say something like the children have to decide or the children don't want it, they never listen. They only told you, you have to motivate your child to go. It's your responsibility to do that, which is in fact not. So during the course of time, I realized that there are many things going wrong. But, you know, how the system works, you know, and how those people works is to turn everything around. So you think you are a bad mother. You think you do something wrong, right? So the more this happens, the more you isolate yourself, the more you shame yourself and blame yourself for those things, and you don't go out. So the thing is, what they try to do mostly is also to separate you and to project shame and guilt onto you. So I also found out there are a lot of things that went against their own laws, but also a lot against the laws of human rights and totally against the divine laws. So in the end, in the last time when I went to court, they decided something against my consent, and I said it and stated it inside, and I didn't sign any protocol, but they keep on going and forced me to do. So I left the court and was somehow in shock. There were many things going wrong, like lawyers working together, psychological evaluator are working together. They are calling each other in front of the court, you know, to discuss how they would decide, which is also totally unlawful. So after this, and after having the issues with the child welfare woman, because I thought like, you know, if she has good evidence, she would use it. But I only saw that every time when I brought something up, she didn't do anything. But every time if my ex brought something up, you know, she started to terrorize me, you know, by coming again and again, controlling I, visiting I, you know, as I did something wrong, but I didn't. You know, everyone who knows my children, they are the most amazing and most loving children. They're very open. They're stepping up for other children. They are easygoing. They're speaking a lot. And well, after that court, I started to stop going to court. I started to stop going to the child welfare woman. Why? because they never give me an opportunity to, you know, to really defend myself or to step into myself. And also, you know, because of all the lies and all the corruption behind, you know, I didn't have any trust in that anymore. Because what would you do in that situation? So the only thing I could do is to ask my children. So there was an incident, you know, we keep on going with the visiting times, but after a specific time, you know, the more they went to their father, the more they were not unhappy. You know, it ended up that we went, you know, to Romania with a very beautiful soul brother. And he was sitting outside with him alone, and they were very sad and told him they don't want to go anymore. So for me as a mother, it was somehow very shocking because they didn't have trust in the mother anymore, because I had to give them to the father, and I just saw it. And at that time I was in fear, you know, because of the system and the controlling, the force, the threatening and everything, and I couldn't help myself. But at a specific point when it came out that he took them to parties, that he's drinking and driving, which I know
With
from
the
previous time.
children, yeah, with the children in the vehicle drinking and driving, correct? While
Yes,
the children were in the vehicle.
yes, yes. So I had to step in and told him that I don't give him the children anymore, because you are endangering the children. You know, you can't took them to parties, you know, being drunk or being, I don't know, not being fully consciousness and the children running around. That's not acceptable. But he has also not taking care of the child welfare, meaning like, you know, giving them good food, allowing them to express their emotions, giving them a safe environment, allow them to speak out. There are many, many things, you know, I don't want to go deep into that, but when we did that, on the next day, we instantly went to the child welfare woman, and I asked Aurora to speak up for herself and to share her story. So she would know it's not about me and him, because it's never, you know, for a mother, but for her to speak up. And she told her everything, but she was also somehow afraid about her. And she also ended up, you know, while I was speaking with her, drawing pictures of her father being a devil, you know, and she also had a lot of nightmares at home, right? So she knew everything. And she told me, yes, well, you are the mother. If you feel that children are endangered, you don't have to give them to the father. And I said, well, that's fine. Good that you are backing us up. And then we left. So several days after, she came back to I and insisted to come to the office. And she was saying that I can't decide that for my children. And I said, I didn't decide it. My daughter decided it, but also it's endangering the children. So I talked with them about the rights of the children, you know, that a lot of points were violated, their rights were violated, and also that they don't want to go, and also the danger of the children. So they ended up telling I that I can't decide it. My children can't decide it. They don't have any choice. It's my responsibility to give them to the father, and that's my fault that I'm instrumental. That I manipulate my children to say that, right? And then I said to them, "Well, okay, right. I would come if you reassure I that you would create a complete video recording so you can see everyone's face, everyone's reaction, and everything is documented." So they ended up telling me that they can't do that because they have to protect their the people who are working there. And I said, well, then I can't go. So they keep on threatening I with, with invitations, and if I don't come, I have to pay, or you know, the police is coming and taking me away.
Coercion and intimidation.
Yeah,
You know, if so, all of these things, what we'll share with the audience, as Sister Nya said, there's just so many things, and she is summarizing a lot of this. So I wish to say also, because of the circumstances that we're experiencing, this also looks like it goes deeper into a conspiracy. Uh, I'm at the viewpoint right now, objectively, that it's actually not about Sister Nya or even the father. It's about the children. And one should be able to, as you hear more of Sister Nya's story, how she was, let's say, denied due process, anything for her defense to support that was not brought into court, was actually omitted, and actually also a defamation of character in the court upon Nya, but also outside. Um, so where you're seeing also the great bias, which is it shows that there's partiality, which is not it's not fair, and also the denial of due process without getting into legal terms or much of the lawful aspect. So what you're beginning to see here is, as Sister Nya outlines more of what's occurring, you are seeing the corruption of the system. However, it is showing that, in the least, that this is not a just a custody case, that there is something much deeper going on, and this is what I feel and what I know by looking at a legal system that deliberately and intentionally limits or omits the defendant's right to due process in her information. It goes much deeper. When a legal system would go into that bias not to listen to another's full defense, it shows there's intentional uh, and deliberation to, let's say, conceal something, or that there is at least an underlying agenda. So that's why I'm saying in this case, what it's looking like is that there is the great desperation by the system of Austria to get the children. And they're using other things as a guise, but out of the great desperation to get these children, they are breaking many of their own laws. They're breaking their constitutional laws. They are also breaking the divine law, which is the divine law, which what we have with GPMS. The divine law is actually all of the human unalienable rights. So when we mention divine law, it's all of the rights which are inherent and intrinsic, which are in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So when we mention divine law has already been placed mostly with the rights through the UN Declaration of Human Rights. But what occurs with that declaration, even though it's ratified by most countries, what they do is they begin to diminish and limit those rights when they put it into their constitution and when they put it into their laws. So we'll look at this. So this is the UN Declaration of Human Rights, but then the country will take it and put it in their constitution. Then they begin to limit it, and they further limit and take away the rights with their what they call their legal systems. So they'll put out the misleading statement to the public, oh yeah, we're a member of the human rights. But once you go in deeper, you see that they might have only adopted one of the articles out of 36 or 47, I forget, that they only adopted one. But because they adopted one and they signed it or ratified it, what they do, as you can see, then they keep limiting the rights down to nothing. But I'll stop there. Please continue, Sister Nya.
Yes, so I have also to say that I was very greatly guided by Rick, because at that point I didn't knew a lot, about laws, human rights, and after that, after that thing happened in a child welfare, I started to stop to give my consent to them, stop to give my consent also to the court, because I knew that it didn't work in my favor. You know, everything was working against I. So I started to went into the laws, educate myself about the laws, about the human laws. I went to several places, to different kind of lawyers to get help. But the thing that I found out was that they are all working together. So, like, for example, I talked with a woman who normally, a lawyer who supports mothers, and I asked her, yeah, well, if a child welfare, if the child welfare is if the child is endangered, do I really have to give my child to the father? And she said, yes, it's because of the court order. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. So she looked at I and said, you can't do that. You have to stop. You are endangering the children. But I did not endangering the children. So it keep on going. So I stopped also receiving their letters. I stopped because there were some kind of facts and accusation against I, which didn't make any sense. So why should I go there if they don't give me a fair process in this case? So the thing what I was doing was to ask my children what they want. I always ask them during the whole time if they want to stay with I, if they want to go to the father, and they always decided to stay with I. But what I have seen is they have changed completely. They went into a full healing phase. They were very happy, independent, you know, because the trick here is also, you know, if you have one parent who is not taking great care of the children, and one does, the child gets acclimatized to the bad situation as well and thinks that is normal, but it shouldn't be that way. So a lot of things came up, you know, and my daughter was so strongly angry about the whole situation. And I asked her why, and she said, I'm so angry about my father. And I asked why, and she said because there were many things running wrong and she can't express it, but she has such an anger of him, right? So the thing was that the father still kept on coming and terrorizing I with bells and knocking, but also the child welfare woman, because they both didn't accept, you know, our decision. So after a long while, I think I think it was last week. So because of this, I didn't was informed about anything what they are doing, because I didn't felt to. But also, you know, when you look at it at that way, you are a free being. You can do whatever you want. You can talk with whom you want, and you can make vacation, you know, to other places whenever you want, right? So we just went out to visit their grandparents, and we went out to just do a shopping, clothes shopping, and also went to Vienna. And something occurred at my place. You know, everyone started to call me very intensely, a lot in fear, and I didn't know that at the time. You know, I just saw that my brother put something up that they are looking for a Europe-wide, and I said, well, I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't harm anyone. I'm not a criminal. So what's going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it ended up that I picked up the phone and I was talking with a woman from the federal department, and she told I that they're looking for I, and they want to check if the children are fine. And I said, yes, well, they are fine. You can talk with them if you want. And she said, no, we have to see them in person. And I was like, okay, well, that's possible. And she said, where are you? And I was like, and I didn't felt well. I didn't felt that it is in alignment with I. And I said, okay, we can meet at a police station. I just check where I'm at, and then I give you a call back. And then I checked the police station close to I, and I called her back and said, yeah, we can meet there. So when we went out, a friend of mine was with us, and he come with us as a witness. And I went out to the car to get the passport. And when I closed the door, two two persons from the federal department stepped out of the car and looked at I and went and said, you know, and asked I if I'm that person. And I said, yes. And they said, yes, they showed me the badge and they said, yeah, we
Were
are here.
they
Let's go to the
were
station.
they in uniform? Yeah, were they in police uniform
No,
or just plain clothes?
plain clothes.
And they just flashed a badge at you.
Yes,
Right.
yes. But it was at that time very intimidating, you know, and I didn't know because they were literally close to my car, you know, and
Yeah, they
I had to,
knew.
yes, you
They knew
know,
right where your vehicle was at, so you could say yes, they were. Um, we could use the word stalking, but they knew right where your vehicle was at. So it was, yeah. So let's put it this way: if you ignored um, not going to the police station, they possibly could have took some threatening direction right there. But let's continue. Go ahead, please.
yes, I also didn't want it to frighten the children. So I kept that positive
Mm.
mood also. So we went to the police station by feet together. The children were they were happy, they were laughing, they were speaking with them, they were speaking with I. And we went to that police station and we sit there, I think, for a whole while, 15 or 30 minutes. And they took our passport, you know, to get our identification. And after a while, two persons from the child welfare office came also. So I didn't thought about anything at that point, you know. And then the woman came out and asked me to go inside. I went inside and then I just remembered I need a witness. So I told them I need my friend inside because I want him to witness everything that is occurring here in that room. So he came with me and they told me they have to took away the children. And I was like, why? You said you only want to see if they are fine, and they are fine. So what's going on? And they said, you are endangering the children. And I said, how? Do you have any evidence for I? At least because you are making here accusations. So you have to give me something so I would know what is going on. And they said like, well, we can't do that because only the state who is in charge of this can tell you this. And I was like, that's totally wrong. You have to show me evidence and information about that. But they were still insisting to taking the children, and they had guns as well there. And the only thing that I could do was I insisted that they gave me a paper and a pen to write on it that I don't consent to it, to give them my children. And I told them, if you take my children, that's kidnapping.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it's very important. It's so great that you did that because they still moved to take the children without your consent. And that is also, no matter what their laws say, the highest law with everything that's occurring because they did not produce proof or reason for to take the children. They were acting unlawfully, and also they were acting under with intimidation by wearing sidearms at least where you did not have any arms. So in this case, it was coercion and intimidation as well to take the children from you.
So because we asked many questions, they also shared about they are taking them away because of a pre-story of that whole thing, but also that I took the children out of kindergarten and school. But the thing is, they first said to I, they don't know anything, right? But also I told them that I put them out of kindergarten and school because people from court and also their father were coming to school and to kindergarten to coerce them to see him. And the thing why I took them out was because they were both in fear. They were so much in fear that they didn't went out. They didn't went out to play. They insisted I to take them after school and after kindergarten to get them home because they were afraid to face him, right? They also questioned my daughter in school without my consent and without me being there as well. So when I went into the kindergarten and school, I told them the whole story and pulled them, and took them out of it. So it was in concert with my children. So I didn't took them out by myself. I asked them, but also they were in fear. They always said they have stomach pain, and they didn't want to go anymore, right? So to get back to the other story, my friend asked the man from the federal department if he has children. And he said, yes, but now I'm a federal agent, right? And my friend keep on asking, they first said they took away the children and I can say goodbye to them. I was totally
Yeah.
shocked in that moment.
We're now back in the police station, yes, where this occurred. So, yes, continue. Thanks.
Yes, and my friend said, that we told the children we only came here to the station so that you can see they are all right and we will leave again. So they believe that we will leave together. And I just stood up and just went out, and the other federal department agent, which was a feminine, wanted to block my way, so I couldn't go to the children. So the masculine one went to her, discussed something with her, and then they unblocked my way so I could go to my children. So I went to my children and had to tell them, excuse me, I had to tell them that they have to go with them because they take them away right now because they feel I'm endangering them. So all three of us were totally shocked and we were crying, we were in pain. The children were holding on to I and they were crying, they yelled, they don't want to be separated from I. And they didn't know what happened actually.
And in the environment that you were in there, you had no choice for to do anything. So they
No,
were all armed. You had no arms, and they just used brute force and abused the abuse of authority and power to take them from you as well. Although, let's say, with the viewers, their legal system would see it differently because their legal system is designed to do these things, to violate one's of all rights. So Nga was in a very serious situation, and I know any of the viewers with this, if you're at a police station, how are you going to resist that with many armed police? What is the best thing to do? Well, the best thing to do is not to begin to fight because the children could get hurt if you try to self-defense. So the most prudent and reasonable thing to do was what Sister Nya did and told the children they'll be fine until we get this straightened out. But you see the brute force as well in that area, and I just wanted to bring that up. Please continue, Sister, if you're ready.
thank you so much. So
You're welcome.
we were crying a lot and they were blocking my way out. They were all looking and they forced me to stop the whole situation because it's not the right way. And I looked at them and I said, why not? Because you're taking the children away exactly at this place. And that is real happening right now. And that are real emotions. And that are my children. They have to climatize, right? So I looked at both of them and looked them in the eyes and I told them to be brave, to have trust, and to have trust that the lies will come to the surface, that the truth will come out, right? And it's the only thing I could do. And they looked in my eyes and they just accepted it and they knew. So I carried them outside, and normally they first have promised that we can go back together to the place where we stayed to get some stuff. But in that moment, I was totally overwhelmed and shocked, and I didn't know exactly what's going on. I just followed them to their car, to the police car. And, me and my children wanted to know if we can see each other one time again and I can bring them stuff, clothes and everything. And they said, yes, well, you can do that. And, but we will go now to another place and give them something to eat. Maybe they will stay in Vienna. And we call you. And at that time, I was encircled by everyone. I was in the center, so I couldn't leave or anything. And I said, okay, well, okay, then we will do that. So they took the children into a car without children's seats. They also didn't ask if they have any allergies. I had to keep myself together. I had to be so strong to give them away because I know it was unrighteousful. It was against the human rights. They lured me into a trap. They lied me. It was without my consent. And I had to keep myself together, until they leave, because
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
what we look at is, yeah, there's also the entrapment with it. And when we look at what was a supposed police report, it said the children were in imminent danger. But the thing is, there is no proof of that, as well as when you listen to Sister Nya's story, and for us that knows her, the children were not in any imminent danger again by being with Nya. They were in the full duty of care of the mother. And uh, so it was all pre-orchestrated as well by the police. And what it's showing is that, they did have a plan, and it was all preordained, premeditated, whatever you wish to say, but it was all pre-orchestrated, meaning that they were deceptive as well. Once the children were there, that they saw the children were good, they still did not release them. So they were misleading Sister Nya as well, because the overall intent was to take the children again with a report, whatever it was, that they were in imminent danger, which they were not. And it was not proven, and it cannot be proven. So again, with this, to get into some of the legal details, the report or the order that was put out that they were in immediate danger cannot be substantiated. So it was by speculation and hearsay, and it was totally false and also void because it could not be substantiated, because there was no proof to substantiate it. The only imminent danger was by the police doing what they did, which contributed even more to the imminent danger by misleading and putting Nya and the children in a serious situation where they began to take the children from her against her consent. So entrapping, you can also look at entrapment with intent to conspire to put Sister Nya into aggression. So it was also with trickery with this. What I wish to say, I'm bringing up so many words without expanding upon them from the legal systems, and the legal ease, if you will. And one of the reasons is because I am very knowledgeable in law, and I am just seeing numerous infractions and contraventions of human rights and everything that it entails. But also, when you look at Austria as a whole, what it puts out, and what it presents is that, it it supports human rights. It supports the rights of the children, and it puts us out worldwide on the internet. But what we're coming to find, that is not a truth. That what we're seeing, not only with this one situation, we know that there are more situations in Austria itself, which is beginning to prove otherwise. So with this, with the actual government of Austria, because of what they're putting out publicly and to the U.S. embassy, painting a picture where they are very lawful in good ways and respect human rights, it's actually misleading statements. And when you have misleading statements, and those statements are proven to be misleading, that is fraud. So it's a very serious situation, not only for Austria, for every country worldwide, the same thing can be done. And what's occurring now is we need all of the mothers, especially the mothers, but also the fathers, to step up, because this has to end what is going on, this systematic abuse of the children in the family units. And it's known worldwide, especially within the awakened community, but not only that, in worldwide, about child trafficking and how it occurs, and also the systematic abuse that is that contributes to it, and the system itself is the core of all of this. But we have these um, yeah, I'll stop there without getting into this. But are you ready to proceed, Sister Nya?
Yes, what I did had what I forgotten to say was, before we left, because she gave me my passport back and not the passport of my children. I looked at her, give me the passport for my children back, and she intended to not give it to me back. And I said to her, you have my children now. What do you want with the passport? So please give me the passport. So she gave me that back, and also, to get back to the previous story where I left. So they drove away with the children, and I went back to the place completely shocked and overwhelmed, and I tried to pick all the things, and give them some clothes and everything. And I was sitting there, and I was also collaborating, with others, and also with Rick, about the whole situation, right? And, we tried to, I was in that situation so shocked that I totally forgot everything, to call for names, to ask for badge numbers, to ask who is involved, to ask for the police report. I totally forgot it. I was so shocked, right? And Rick informed I to do that. So my friends started to call everywhere to get all this information, but you couldn't get anything. You couldn't get any police reports either. So that was very fishy as well. But also, we tried to figure it out where the children at, to bring them the stuff. So when we did, none of them told us where they're at. And they said, we can't tell you anything. So, and I also tried to call that guy several times, because first he said he would give me a call, and I looked at him, give me your number. And then he called me, so I had his number. But, none of them called me back. We didn't know the whole while where my children at. I don't know, I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. As a mother, you should at least know where your children at, right? So that was quite a tough time.
Yes, and importantly, again, we need to restate that they did not ask you if the children had any allergies, were they taking any medication. They just took the children. Now, this is very important. For example, let's say if one of the children had a peanut allergy, and the police said they were going to feed them. So what if, yes, usually the child will know this and perhaps say it. However, the preventative care was not asked, that perhaps there was medication that the children might have needed that was in the care of Sister Nya. And where that was not asked, it shows a huge incompetence, but it also shows the non-caring with this whole situation. And when it shows not caring, that is not looking out for the best interests and the welfare of the children. And again, it's important to note that questions was not asked when they took the children, because what it does, it enters another element of endangerment of the children by the police themselves. Go ahead, sister.
So I was totally in shock that I had also to keep myself together, but I also was crying a lot. But I also slept not much, right? And the earliest in the morning when I woke up, I tried to call the police because at their disposal, they have the address, from a place where they put the children. But because of yesterday, what the child welfare guys said, I didn't know where they're at, right? So I called them and they said they can't give me any information. And I said, I'm the mother. I need to know at least where my children are at. So I had to insist, right? And she said, they are in Carinthia, that's the state where I'm living, and they are fine. So I asked her, could I bring them some stuff as it was promised, by the other guy? And she said, we can't take anything. But I still didn't care about this because, I just drove home. It was several hours to get to Spital in Adrau, where I'm living, and get to that place, right? And I was there, with the backpack, and I stood there and I ring the bell, and she said, she asked me who I am, and I told them who I am. And then she hung up, and then she looked at the window outside and she said, please hold on a little bit, just wait. And I said, yes, I will do. And 5 minutes afterwards, 2 police officers and 1 criminal department officer came, and they told the woman what's going on. And she said, yes, I'm having the order. No matter if the father or the mother is coming, I have to call instantly the police. And I'm not permitted to talk with her. So I shared with the policeman the story about the child welfare guy telling I that I can give the children stuff because I really wanted the children to have at least something, from us so they can feel better, in that unknown environment, right? So I gave her the backpack and I left, they waited until I left. And yes, and then I went home. So in this day, we did a lot of research, we did a lot of documentation, we brought a lot of informations together. I was compiling a lot, I was reading a lot, I was gathering people all around, I was discussing it a lot, but also everyone had to keep me, in a very good mood because it's a very overwhelming and challenging situation for I, because I really do love them so much. And it's the most intense thing to be separated from them because we have such a strong and intense bond. But I also had to truly strongly believe and trust that they are safe, and they are safe, and they are the most amazing children, and also to trust into our bond, right? So I gathered some friends of mine to go to the child welfare woman on Monday to have witnesses with I. And I was prepared, right? Because I reviewed with Rick everything of that incident, and we figured out how many things went wrong, and everything was unlawful and also against human rights. So normally what I figured out was on this disposal, there was the information, unless she has now 8 days time to send an application to court to keep the children there. But what I also know is that they have to question the children before they put them into that place to make sure that the accusation or the evidence they have is true, right? So I went on Monday with both of my friends to that woman, and I brought all of those things onto the table. So every time when I said something, I could gave her something that would dissolve what she has said, right? Because
And
I was asking her.
yeah, she was the one that issued that the children were in imminent danger too, isn't it? This one you're speaking about?
Yes, the woman which knows the whole history, which knows my daughter, which also confirmed how amazing the bond between me and my children is. You know, and she never saw such children like that with a bond to her mother, right?
And you went there on Monday, giving her the opportunity to do the right thing and to rescind that order, but she ignored it, correct?
Yes, because I had to ask her what is the reason of the endangerment. And the three most important thing, because they were questioning my child in school without me being there, I didn't know that. The first thing she brought up is she brought up psychological evaluation, right? It was about 10 papers long. And then I looked at her and I said, well, please give it to I need it. And she said, I can't give it to you. And I said, why? It's just in front of you. Please make a copy to me because it's the evidence. And also, please give me the police report because I tried to get it and I didn't get it anywhere. And you have it. So please give it to I. But none of them, she didn't give me any of them. So then I asked her, okay, well, then I request you to read everything out loud. So I have it right now. What is your evidence? But the thing is, she didn't read everything because it was an evaluation. And in fact, there were also good stuff about me, right? So she only brought up the reason why she take that action. So the first thing was she read that my children are in an environment, they were very loved by other children, they are very socialized, they are doing well. And then she said, I took them out of it without any reason. And I looked at her and I said, there was a reason. You were there with the court and with the ex and were coercing the children to do something they don't want. They were traumatized and in fear. And I told it to the teacher and I told it to the woman from the kindergarten. And she got upset, you know, and she just kept on going on. So the second thing is that my children said to the psychological evaluator that that their soul will ascend into new heaven, a new earth, and that they are from a higher dimension, and that their mommy is clairvoyant and can look into the future. And I looked at her and I said, yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's true.
Yeah.
And she said, and she looked at I and she said, I'm giving my children a distorted reality. And then I looked at her and I said, like, you know, that's under the human rights, that everyone can believe whatever they want. We don't harm anyone, so it's all full in alignment, you know.
So
And,
the
you know,
discrimination,
yes.
yes. So they're
And I said,
using discrimination against you as
yes.
well.
And I said to her, you know, well, the first point you read say that my children are so amazing, so integrated, socializing, loved by other children. And in the next moment, you are saying, I'm distorting the reality. That doesn't make any sense. So both of my friends stepped up and talked and said, like, you know, I know her and I know her belief system, but I also know that children, they are totally fine. They are amazing, right? And she didn't do any harm, you know, and there's nothing wrong, you know, with believing. And she was triggered again, so she kept on going to the next point, and she said, like, yes, and you don't let the children see their father because they have the rights to do it. I looked at them and I said, yes, I'm totally with you. They have the rights to see their father, but if they don't want to see the father, and if he is endangering the child's life, then I don't see, or you know, I
Yeah,
don't have to.
exactly. It's your responsibility. If it causes traumatic stress upon the children by seeing their father, it is your duty and responsibility as a mother to ensure that you do not subjugate the children into stressful environments because it endangers not only them in the moment, but with psychological impacts that goes into the futures. So the child care services lady that you're speaking of, Claudia, I believe is her name, being in that position, it should be one of her qualifications to be competent and prudent in this respect. That if the care is for the children and part of the reason why they are doing this, why are they subjugating the children to stress or attempting to do it continuously? That is a totally uh, adverse condition that they are creating, and it contradicts everything again. And what it begins to show when you begin to add so many factors like what I just said together, it shows that there's a conspiracy somewhat to take those children, and they're very desperate. So here now they're using discrimination as one thing, and number two, trying to subjugate the children to a stressful environment where the children have said they do not want to go. Yet the child welfare services is insisting to subjugate these children to that stress, that stressful environment. And when we quickly look at again, uh, which the child services, Claudia knows uh, that the ex, if you will, was drinking alcohol with the children in the vehicle. And that's not a thing to support. So we're inadvertently or advertently or directly, I will say, I'll use that word, where directly that Claudia is suggesting to put the children into an environment where the ex is drinking and driving. Again, she is subjugating these children to considerable risk and endangering their lives. Any competent child welfare officer or whatever you wish to call them would not do this. So where we're seeing these extenuating circumstances and actions by them, again, it's pointing to something much deeper. And then again, at this time, what I need to say, it keeps coming up. Over 20,000 children have gone missing in Austria, and that's a huge number. How can that many really go missing without the police doing things about it or knowing about it? It suggests for me that there is involvement in those over 20,000 children that have gone missing. It suggests to me that there's systematic involvement in there, wherever it would be at. Would it be at with customs? Would it be with the police force? Would it be with the child services or the refugee asylum services? Wherever it is, it's showing at least there has to be some connection to something much deeper, without going into that. Go ahead, please, sister. Yeah.
Yes, to continue, when she said that with the father, and I said to her, um, I brought those things up, and I said to her, if that is the case, I don't need to. And that's also by your law. And, I said to her, the last time I was at your place with my daughter, and you have, and you saw and you heard everything. But, since the last time I told you and asked you to give me the documentation, which you have to do in such a position, and you never gave it to I was like, well, I can't trust you anymore. You don't document it and you don't give it out if I'm requesting it, right?
This
So she
is a
said, like, yes,
denial of due process, and a very important part of an impartial legal system where the defense has the right to see all evidence against them. If they do not, then it violates the right of due process in of defense. So again, with this, it doesn't even make sense within their laws with legalities, because justice systems is based on this morality that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and you know, other um, articles and provisions that support that, and it's even written, you know, through different laws and the Constitution of Austria. So the point I'm making again, where these ones are in their positions, they're supposed to know the law because they're acting with the laws. So where they're intentionally breaking the laws, because ignorance is no excuse in this, because it's part of their work. Once again, it's why it's showing us that this is going much deeper, and it's only an example of what's happening worldwide with these departments of government that has been stealing children unlawfully. But go ahead, Sister Nya. These are my opinions, what I'm saying, but what I'm saying, I can back up everything that what I'm saying. And also, I wish to say this importantly, as you're seeing here, there's this, the content is so vast with what's occurring, but what we are doing is we are giving you not speculation, not hearsay and conjecture. This is well researched. We are well educated, not only with the legal system, the lawful systems, and what have you. So we're not just talking off of the top of our hats here with this. Uh, so I need to make that clear. And we're also, as I said, have begun to compile statements of facts, which is statements of incontestable evidence and truth. And with incontestable evidence, if you will, it's called incontestable because it doesn't need to go to court. It is a truth. It is a fact as it is, and it cannot be compromised nor negotiated. And it is the substantial facts that law is based on in any courts. So when you see any courts that are, let's say, um, omitting or not allowing these important facts in there, then it also begins to incriminate the courts, the judges, and also the system, just to keep it simple. Go ahead, sister. Are you still there? Yeah. If you're still there, I cannot hear you. Oh, I hear a door. All
You
right. Well, I'm
step
speaking.
out. I just step
Are you?
out a bit.
Yes. Go ahead if you're ready.
Um, yes. What was the last that I have said? Right. So I said to her, because of that last incident, you know, she had a lot of evidence which she had could send to court, you know, to stop the whole thing, but also about the positive things she knows about me. It would have never, you know, gone so far, right? So I also said to her, she has all the evidence, you know, why I did this, and it's totally right, you know, to do that. And then she only said, you know, and that's what they always do, is turning everything around. Like, she said to I that I'm the mother and I'm responsible that the child is going to the father. And the child cannot decide in Austria until they get 12. And I looked at her and I said, my children can decide. Children can decide. And she said, no. And I said, yes, you know, it was the thing that I said. And I insisted her, and I gave her the chance to do the right thing. I told her everything that you are doing is corrupt and against your laws, and also against the human rights. And the human rights are above Austrian laws. But she didn't went into it, and I left afterwards. But what I also have to add, that I have a voice recording of every situation that had happened so far. Why? Because it has happened to me in the past, and I had to record it as in self-defense, because everything is turned against you or upside down when it comes to that point, because they are all involved together and they are corrupt, right? So that was the first day on Monday, and I think, and she said to I that there's a court appointment next week, so on Tuesday, and on Thursday I could come and see the children. So I left, but I somehow lost the appointment. And then I called in that center and asked the woman again, well, I just heard that I can see my children on Thursday. And she said, yes, but it is not in our center, it's at their place. And I said, okay, well, thank you so much. And I noted that. So I gathered something else, for Thursday, but also, did more research on the laws and document more and all of those kind of things, And I went there, on Thursday with a friend. And this time, I didn't intend to go into their thing, because everything that they are doing is unlawful and lies. So I went inside and I asked them if they record I, and they didn't. And I just put my phone on the table and I told them, because the last time she saw that I was recording her and she asked me if I do. And I said, yes, because of self-defense. And I did this because you don't give me any evidence. I said that to her this last time, but this time I just went in, put my phone on and just recorded it. So her department leader was also there, who have threatened I in the past, and also the leader of the center where my children are at. And then I came up, with all the information, but also the involvement into the missing children, and also about everything they are doing, and to give them the chance to do the right thing, because it was the last day they could return the children, right? So, but again, I had to go into specific points again, but I have every evidence there. I also said to her that I feel that you are not competent enough to have to, to how to say that, Rick? To, if she's how to say that in English? I don't have the
Could
English
you
word for it.
just, I was writing something down. Could you just re-ask the question? What was she saying, and how do you?
I said to her that she's not competent enough to how to say it? Not to do, but to, what is the word for something? She's
Not
not
qualified
supervising,
because of,
supervising.
yeah, she's not qualified for this because of this extreme bias and incompetence, if you will, uh, especially in this situation. But what also is going to occur, it's possible that this is not an isolated case or situation as we go forward. We're asking other mothers in Austria, as well, to step up to bring more testimony and more evidence to this effect, so that we can readily identify more that are involved in this, because it's more widespread. This is not an isolated incident with Sister Nga. But did that answer what you were asking?
Yes, I think so. No, I said to her that she's not competent enough to supervise this case. I would use that word.
Not
Not
qualified, yeah.
qualified enough. And I said, and she asked me why, and I said, because you have a problem with I. And the thing is, we came to that point, with the belief system and with the souls, meaning like, my children are suicidal. I'm suicidal because of that thing that they said. And, she said something and I waited patiently. And then I wanted to reply something to her accusation, right? And when I did, she just stopped me. She got angry and she just said her thing. And then I waited patiently until she was done. And I looked at her and I was like, see, well, that's the reason why I said you have a problem with I. And you got very angry because I said this. I just talked about the belief system and that everyone is free to believe whatever they want. But there are several things, that have occurred where I always had something, to dissolve it. But also, they said, because of my belief system, they are in endangerment and you cannot teach your children things like that. And I said, why not? They are amazing children. They don't harm anyone. That's our belief. And I truly believe in it. And I also work a lot with other people, who I'm assisted with healings. So I have testimony here as well, right?
Yeah, so this is absolutely unconstitutional. It's written right in the Austrian Constitution that you have the freedom of belief in religion. So this, no, it's not acceptable as well. And when I look at this, I kind of muse when she said where you are ascending, if you will, to a new earth or with the rapture. And when I look at Christianity, but when I look at all major beliefs worldwide, this is what we believe. So it's yeah, it is a huge discrimination, and I'm also I won't go into this, but I'm seeing possible racism by her other actions we didn't speak about yet. So which is possible. So you're seeing what we're doing here and what we're sharing with you is mostly about this individual so far, Claudia. And also, we could even look at within the legal system, but the whole legal system worldwide, you can take it and put it in a garbage bag and throw it away. It's null and void because it's not fully impartial, where you have impunity and what have you in there. Um, but nevertheless, when we began to get into this legal maze, because it's so unlawful and the huge widespread deprivation of intrinsic rights, it begins to let's say at times hurt the head or the brain to go down into that nonsensical states of judgment and restrictions and violations. As we know, it doesn't resonate with us. But again, when you look at, let's say, 2.4 billion Christians worldwide that believe in some form of life after death, for this one Claudia to make fun of that belief. But I would say there's about 6 billion worldwide. So she's actually making fun, if you will, about 6 billion souls. It's absolutely sick, pathetic, and not acceptable. But continue, Sister Nya. Oh, one more thing. It's the important defamation of character. That's what I was going to say. So what we're seeing is also Claudia trying to defame Sister Nya's character in whatever way she could. So this is why Sister Nya also has got witnesses, getting what you would call character statements from others supporting that she is a good mother and that she's not endangering. But what you see, Claudia is trying to manipulate things and trying to fabricate things to defame Sister Nya's character. And, in some a defamation of character, libel, or what have you, is a serious thing. Well, let's say it's serious, but in most countries, it's illegal and it's recognized. Even though it would be a civil suit or a forgive me, my terminology with all of the legal words and labels, it is a little bit still in the past. So sometimes I may not use the proper terms because we had left, hopefully, all that behind us because we are creating the new liberated world that is based with the new laws that appreciates, respects everyone's unalienable intrinsic rights the way that it should be. But so we're looking at some other interesting things. It's looking, it's apparent, with more evidence that we collect as well, that there is an intentional attempt at defaming Sister Nya's character. But important for anyone, as you're watching this, we'll have more on this, and we're going to be given tips for individuals in the nice while on how to collect your incontestable evidence with ideally a couple witnesses, recordings, and um, keeping a good, quick, incontestable compilation of truths that cannot be denied. And not only that, it's a support worldwide that we are creating with this. We ask for all organizations, human rights advocates, defenders of human rights, all of this to come together so that we have this huge united force worldwide to say, not only in Austria, but in the US, everywhere, it's no longer acceptable. This has to stop now. And by creating this one unified voice worldwide with, let's say, many billions, no one country can stand up to this, and they must step down and they must comply with the unalienable human rights. And for you that don't know yet, the worldwide vote ratification of GPMS.WORLD ratifies worldwide into full law all of your unalienable rights. And it also activates at the same time your important right to monetary comfort as well. I won't go into detail with that, but what I suggest, anyone go to the website gpms.world. You can consent, add your vote. Every child's vote counts. So if you have children, you're the guardian of the children. You also vote for your children if they're too young to vote for themselves for this new free world, so that we eliminate, because of the law of what GPMS.world is, what we're voting on, and it's the people's law, which is all inclusive and supportive of all of your rights and abundance worldwide, because it's a children's future as well. Every child votes counts. Every child's vote counts in this as well. And currently we're around 318,000 that have consented so far to ratify this lawful instrument into law. So it's important to know that once the majority has ratified GPMS.world into law worldwide, this is the law. And what this does, it frees you from all of these incidents like Sister Nya is experiencing now. In so many ways, this is the full solution without going into how it does it. What I can give you and ensure you that it does do it, and it stops all of this, and it saves all of the children. But please continue, Sister. Yeah.
Because it's so extensive, sometimes I miss some stuff or some information. But what I want to add to the previous meeting on Monday was that we have organized on the weekend before a lot of people coming together, writing emails to their office and also to other offices in Austria wide to release the children. So through this, we have created also something like that they know that all eyes are on them, which makes us also more safer, and more better to move on,
Absolutely.
right? But when I ask her if she has, because I had to inform her also that we would make it public worldwide, and I asked her if she has if she has seen the emails. The only thing that she was doing, like she was scrolling her eyes, And, you know, honestly, I read some of the emails and they are so heart-touching and so loving. And none of them were aggressive or threatening or provocating. We just requested them to release the children, and how others are feeling, you know, with that with that situation, how compassionate they are. It was a complete peaceful movement, but none of them replied. And thank you so much, Sister Nessa, for doing that huge work behind. So on to get back to the meeting on Thursday, in the beginning, I also told them that we are thinking that my case is involved into the child abduction, you know, Austria-wide, and that there's a conspiracy with the whole case, right? So her department leader was also there, and I knew that he don't like me because he has threatened me in the past. And he also brought that up, you know, with the school system. And I
So
said to him, well, I went
he,
there and she said no. You know, the director said no. But I do know that they could find a solution because in Austria it's allowed to do homeschooling. But she said no. And they have laws here that you cannot put your child out unless on the end of the school, you have to finish the school class first, and you have 7 days duration time to decide to do homeschooling. And then you have to do a lot of documentary work and writing concepts to apply it. And then they would say, you know, if they confirm it or not, right? But since Corona, they have changed it to that way. But before you had, you were able to put the children out whenever you want, right? So there are many things with that. And he looked at me and he was like, well, you could have just make that application and send it, you know? But really, I didn't do it yet, but I feel like, you know, it's also just honestly a lie or
yeah,
something, because no matter
it may not be
what,
the
yeah,
need to do it. Yeah,
yes,
as we go forward step by step, again, you know, what we're exposing and revealing is in their actions, they're acting unlawfully, but they're also, it depends on how quick that we take this into the extensiveness of what it is. It could nullify and void even all of the legal system within Austria very quickly, but not only Austria, worldwide, depending uh, on how quickly we are able to unite everyone worldwide as one as well. And that's not a fantastic thought. I mean, it's a reality with everyone. If you look worldwide now, the mounting protests everywhere and civil unrest worldwide everywhere, with some recent figures, 85 or 90% of the worldwide population has no or little trust in governments. What this shows, when that goes to 100% trust in governments, there's not going to be any governments supported or left. So we're in this very tipping point of the whole civilization upon Earth, and it's being dismantled and tore down. So there is no legal jurisdiction, if you will. They'll attempt to intimidate and impose it, but the truth is it's all faltering and very quickly. So we continue forward with what we're doing. And what I will say, we're not acting just on our own accord here, on our humanoid accord. We know that God is real and there is that interaction with God, and without God, of course, we would not be able to do it, and the old enslavement protocol would remain. However, we're in the most glorious time of the Great Awakening and Great Change, whether ones like Claudia knows it or not. It doesn't matter. It's happening, and it's unstoppable. And again, systematically worldwide, this old system, it does not support humanity. It does not support the public interest. So it's being dismantled by its own accord, and by ones withdrawing their consent to recognize this worldwide system of law and money as being the only choice. So again, we're bringing in the replacement system. So yeah, may you continue, Sister Nga. I just got to step away for a moment and continue, please. Yeah, I'll let you go where you're going to go with this, and I have things always I can add. Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. So just to get back to this, I remember that they brought up the topic again that I don't come to court, right? And that I don't go there. And I just told them during the whole years, I saw that many things went wrong, and I brought everything up as I did at the first meeting. And also said, if those things coming up, I can't trust you. I can't trust that you are doing it objectively, right? And then I figured out that because I didn't follow the visiting times, they have gave me a penalty here in Austria, which called bend penalty. That means like if you don't follow the court order, you have to pay for it. But the real thing is I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I pay for it, right? So he brought that thing up, but also, you know, the other woman there, who is the leader from the department of where my children at, I turned to her and I just asked her how my children are and how she sees my children. And she was like, yeah, well, the other day when you called your children, so now I'm allowed to have a call about 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes a day where I can ask my children how they are doing. And the last time I was asking her, because they put her back into that center and they are now sending her to school. And I asked her, well, do you want to go to school? And she said, no. And she said, they said it is required to go to school. And I said, no. In Austria, it's only required to be educated, but not to go to school, right? But also I asked her, if you are going to school, are they going with you or are you going alone? Because, yes, I just asked her that. And that woman, to get back to the other meeting, brought that up. And she was like, oh, that's so weird that you asked that. And I looked at her and I was like, well, you know, my children are in a city which they've never been alone before. They are in a specific difficult situation. And I just want to know if they are protected and safe. So that's normal for a mother to ask, right? And she said, well, yes, you are right. And then I asked her a further question about, you know, how my children are, how, you know, and she said they are very dependent. They are very nice, sympathetic, kind. They are very open. They just came to her, you know, and just talking. And then I said, well, so you say to I that they are very great children. They are kind, they are sympathetic, they are great in integrating, they are open, they are intelligent. And then now I hear that I'm endangering the children because of those points, which didn't make any sense to I, right? And then she said like, yes, and we also do a clinical evaluation, like something psychological evaluation. And that would take 3 sessions. And I was like, okay, well, why? I asked her why. And she said, yeah, that's nothing that I decide, right? So the thing is, and I asked her, how long would it take? And she said, 3 weeks. And I said, wow, 3 sessions in 3 weeks. So why then? And she said, yeah, because the one who is in charge of this is working 20 hours a day. And, you know, she has a lot to do. So, you know, with all of those things, you know, I was like, well, I don't think, because they said to I should go to court and then they decide if I can get the children or not. And that woman tells me it would take another 3 weeks. But also the first time when I was in the first meeting, they told me that I will see my children on Thursday, which I never saw, right? So everything again is lie to get me into that I will come and to discuss with them, to get control over me. But also, in the end, I was sitting there and I said to them, that everything that I'm saying and everything that I'm doing, I do no harm to anyone and I do not lie. And I swear to God, and I know God is supporting me. And I said it very intensely in 2 times. It was very interesting how they reacted, because they were somehow, they didn't say anything. They just looked at I, and they were somehow a little bit shocked, I would say. But so with all those things, but also, at the first meeting, I also have to add, she was very aggressive and triggered by I with everything I said, because I caught her so many times in so many lies. But also the most intense reaction she had when I said the first time about children gone missing in Austria. And she said, that's a complete lie. And I said, no, there are a lot of statistics. Just go online, just research it, and you can see it, right? And it was the most intense, because, if she wouldn't be involved into it, she would say, well, I don't know, it's just made up or something. But she wouldn't be so aggressive and so angry. But also, what I also have to add, what Rick brought up with the racist, I'm born and raised here, and during my whole lifetime, I have experienced a lot from authorities or ancient agencies which have treated me in a different way or discriminated me because of my Asian roots. And also, I have to add that Austria is very well known, that a lot of political or lots of people here are voting, for the right wings as well for some specific reason, right? So I do have to add this. So that was my meeting on Thursday. I brought a lot of things up. I cannot compile, or I cannot recall everything now. I just brought up the most important thing, and I again gave them the opportunity to do the right thing. I told them, you are doing corrupt things, because everything you did was completely illegal, unlawful, and goes against all laws. But also, I said, exactly that the human rights are above the Austrian law. And the department leader said, well, you can try to go to other places, but you won't win. Everywhere it's the same. And I said, I will go outside, public-wide. And he said, that wouldn't change anything, and you can't go outside. And I said, I can, because there are other places which are involved, into human rights and everything, right? So every time,
But
it didn't make any sense to talk with them, because everything you are saying, they're turning,
exactly.
twisting, and trying to defame you, trying to
Mm.
turn everything around, that you are crazy or something, but they know exactly that I know. But, it could also be that they don't know their own laws, right?
Well,
So that was the last meeting on Thursday, to share that with you all.
yeah, they do. To be qualified, they have to know their own laws to act lawfully and prudently. But if we look at, what he said, with any judge within any country, there is an immediate conflict of interest with that judge because of who pays the judge. And let's look in Austria, the judge is paid by the Austrian government, and judicial system is part of that. So immediately, when you have a conflict of interest, you have a bias in the legal system, because there is that controlling interest upon a judge, no matter if they take an oath or not. So let's say the most impartial judge would be an individual judge outside of Austria that is not being paid anything to do it, to sit voluntarily and objectively without any remuneration or any benefits from it. And this needs to be stated, because where they're in great desperation, with what the director told you, that, yeah, you can go to someone else, but you're not going to get any different from a different judge, because, again, the judges are controlled by the system and are obligated to the system by that conflict of interest where they're paid. So what this does, it cannot deliver an impartial judgment upon anyone. And actually, because of this, if you wish to step it all out, which I could, the system is unlawful. So in this case, the measure is what we're doing again worldwide with GPMS.WORLD. It's a universal, simple laws worldwide. And what you do, you give everyone their freedoms back, and they're not judged or condemned partially and biasly like the judges do in every country. Now, also, when you look at the International Court of Justice, they are also, those judges are also in a conflict of interest because they get paid by the other countries. So what I am sharing is that truly, even with the international court, it is controlled, because once one is paid more or less by a certain country, that conflict of interest arrives, that they would need to appease the country, that they could not go against it. So it controls the judge's decision because it influences the judge's decision. He cannot be independent. He or she cannot be independent and fully impartial because of how they're being paid, if you will. And again, in the GPMS world, everyone gets paid by themselves. So in this new world we're having, no one can be compromised, no one can be bought, if you will, by the system, and there also becomes no incentive with personal gain to commit any crimes. And the old system is completely, as you're seeing, dropped because the old system, and GPMS is the replacement system by the people we're voting in now. But this current system is the core of all of the problems on the planet. And when you look at relationships, if you will, when stress enters these relationships because of the worldwide system and monetary policy and its stringent policies and laws, that begins to create stress, and it ripples and it fans outward. Just to keep everything simple, it's this current system which is the core reason for every problem that you can imagine, including this one here, just to keep it simple. So, you know, with this, what I wish to say, no, go ahead, Sister Nya. I won't rabble. I got quite a list here, but I know we perhaps will. We have to do another show where I'll give some tips, and we will give some tips for any in this current situation to get your power back and not letting them take your power away and separating you. And again, what we're doing is bringing all together that wants to come together with this. We'll educate very simply in laws, but you can also use the divine law, as we said, that put you back in the power, and very quickly the statement of facts and articles that puts them in checkmate, that they can't do anything. But with that, there's quick procedures you can do. Some in the past with, let's say, sovereign groups that getting themselves out of the system went through um, lengthy procedures to do this. But the thing is, where the system was intact, the system chooses usually to ignore that unless it's an incontestable, it depends upon the sovereign one that puts it towards them. But typically in the past, with the current system, where everyone did not have a choice, they are at the mercy of it. But what I'm saying now, you are not. Everyone worldwide has the choice of the new replacement system, GPMS.WORLD. It's being ratified as we speak through a ratification voting process, which incontestably concretes it and puts it into law. There is nothing on earth like what we are creating. Any ratification of any treaties or laws in the past, it was mainly just done by representatives of the people, which were typically governments or what have you. But what you have found governments are not acting in the people's best interests. So those governments have to be those ones that are not acting in the people's best interests, are causing inflicting great harm and death upon humanity with their current system by leaving that intact. So having said this, the people with GPMS.WORLD, which have the power because the people are the majority, and it eradicates all these problems. We're still not quite there with the full ratification yet, but till we get there, we are with this serious thing about unlawfully taking children. It's happening worldwide. We all come together to stop this now. So go ahead, Sister. Yeah, anything else you wish to add into this one,
I think
or
can only
finish your story?
I think I could there I think there are, but I can't think about it. But I could just inform everyone about the current state where I at right now. So I'm still evaluating what kind of steps to take. I don't know it yet if I would go to court or not. There's so many things with that. But I mean, I'm just right now in surveillance, meaning like a lot of police is also looking after and that's from my perspective, it's crazy because I didn't do any harm. I'm not a criminal. I didn't do anything, and I didn't do anything wrong. So the last time when I was at the meeting, and when I came back home, my neighbor was completely in fear because two police officers were at my door knocking where I at, right? So everyone here in my village is in fear. Everyone thinks I'm a criminal. And
No.
yes, everywhere I'm going, the police is there, right? So that's where I at right now. And I'm still not know. I'm doing other things in the background and deciding day by day how to, yeah, how to make the best thing out of it or to get the children out. But the best thing is not what they try to do is to break you. So what I'm doing is to keep staying in my power, but it's just an huge and intense initiation for me and my children. And yes, I honestly also don't know where we're going because it's really, really completely new, right? And we can't go into the system because it doesn't make any sense. So there are tools, but we are still evaluating and seeing what we can do. But in fact, they should drop it because everything is unlawful. So that also makes not any sense. The children are currently fine. I can talk with them. They are still in trust. They still are connected with I. So that's the current update with that right now. So thank you so much
And,
for listening to the story.
oh, thank you, Sister. No, yeah, I'm going to say something that I mentioned to Sister Nya earlier today, and this is a very important tip for all moms, but not excluding the rights of the fathers. But what I wish to say, because virgin births, or what you may call immaculate conception, has occurred, if you will, worldwide, with some suggesting by a poll in the US that I forget what the numbers were, perhaps 1%, let's say, of a poll that was taken in the US, has the feminine or the mother saying that there was no sexual engagement and that it was actually what occurred. They become pregnant without that, without any father. But the importance of this, where at least there's some initial work done there, what it is showing is the possibility of any children that have not been had the father, any family unit that has not had the mother and father's DNA and the children's DNA looked at. What occurs is that any court of law really cannot say that a father is the father because of this, what can occur, unless, they have the actual DNA. And then when we look at this, each one has the individual rights if you wish to give blood or DNA or not. But also what occurs is because everyone worldwide has not given, let's say, their DNA to actually prove that the children are from a father, and because of this, let's say, 1% variable of virgin births that may occur, um, what we are looking at is that no court can prove nor act in a father's interest to that degree unless it's been substantiated and proven by DNA. Because the simple reason a court where this exists, what I just said, a court cannot act on speculation. A court has to act on facts. So if there's not DNA done for the father's benefit, a court cannot really act in that supposed father's benefit unless it is proven that he is actually the father. With the mother always knows, and there's always witnesses at the birth of the child that the child actually came from the mother. So that is an incontestable proof that is always there with the mother. It makes it more difficult for the father because of this. However, another reason I'm bringing this up is because in Austria in the past, I believe, and in Europe, that in the custody battles, if you will, it was given to the mother if the mother was reasonable, and at least if the mother was fit. And but also when we look at an unfit mother scenario, it's not the mother's fault again. It's this society in the system that creates these poverty situations, if you will. So, to take this further in, what I'm beginning to show is an excellent, incontestable, it's not even an argument, it's an incontestable proof to assist you moms as well if you're currently in any of these court battles. Uh, so, very importantly, that's just one thing I want to bring up for contemplation by any organizations that may look at this later and every individual. Did you wish to add anything to that, Sister Nya?
Yes, I do, because yes, that is right. In the past, it was by when you go through a separation, the full custody is automatically given to the mother if she's in if everything is fine, right? And then they changed it because there is a movement from father, we call it here father lobbyist, meaning like very wealthy masculine men who are somehow involved into that whole, how to say that, they are bringing new laws into the system by meaning the father has rights. But from my perspective, it's important to see what the child wants, not what the parents wanted. So let the child decide. Or also,
Exactly.
yes, or also what I also want to bring up, the evaluation between the connection from mother or from father to child as well, and that government doesn't own the children. So that's the next thing here, to bring that up. But also to come up with something very interesting also in Austria, by observing and educating myself through the law system, I figured out that there are a lot of things going wrong, right? But also that, you know, a refugee which just come to Austria is first of all not obligated to go to school. So meaning like if they got lost or vanished, they just vanished. So it's completely different with ones who are here in Austria, right? But there are many some kind of things. I don't want to go deeper into that as well. I'm just touching the
Oh,
surface with that.
excellent. Thank you so much. Because what we're also looking at is how can a state prove authority, or in this case, ownership over the children? So, in reality, no, the state cannot own the children, if you will. And this is an important part to look at any contract, because everything in this world is a contract. But the most powerful contract is the contract of love, that is between the bonding contract between a mother and a child when both parties love each other. And that is a very impenetrable contract, that the only way that it could be in every contract, what I wish to say for once, without taking this too far, for every contract to be a valid contract, there has to be an opt-out clause by either party. But this is kind of getting off of what I'm saying. So what you're saying, what we're saying, and what Sister Nya began to speak about is that, you know, ask the governments or the child care services, where is the paper of ownership that they own the children, if you will, especially if you're a non-threatening mom or dad. Where is that ownership? And they cannot provide it because there is no actual purchase, original purchase agreement where a mom has sold her child to the authority of the authorities. There is none. And to take this, to try to keep it as simple as possible, and ones you can pick this up and research further yourself to substantiate your case on that. You know, one of the ways they did it was through the child's birth certificates. However, if they look at that being a contract, as I just said, for a contract to be lawful, there has to be the opt-out clause. So if you were tricked into a contract, uh, not fully informed and knew what you were doing, let's say when you registered the child with any country, there is not an ownership. But if they attempt to use that, what we simply say, rescind all contracts. It don't matter what they have. So you send a letter to your governments. There is no contract, and also they must. There has to be an opt-out clause. So under this substantiation, that they must, yes, if there's any contract, the governments must uh, just say that there isn't, or if there was, they also must provide where the written contract was at that you signed. And again, if they cannot do that, that is also your sovereignty from the system, but also beginning to know more of the truth of your actual rights and your actual authority and lawfully. But I'll stop there. Do you wish to add anything, sister?
No, I'm I think I said enough for today.
All right, great. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll in this. We'll keep you updated. What we suggest is all organizations worldwide that wish to unite to make the one big voice, and we also ask you to unite into GPMS as well to vote to bring this law in that saves everyone. So it'd be a prudent thing to do and to bring all together as one universal, united voice, because laws are different in every nation, and instead of fighting with these violations within every country and these illegal things they do, we just come together and we overpower it with the moral law and all of your intrinsic unalienable rights, which we're also ratifying in GPMS.WORLD. And it's GPMS.WORLD that saves your children forever from any more of this subjugation, but we just need to get it ratified by the majority worldwide, and all of the children worldwide are then safe. So,
thank you so much for this live, Rick.
no, you're so welcome, and thank you. And we have a little prayer for the safe return of Akua and Aurora with their mother, Nga. And so it is. And thank you, Mother and Father God, for your assistance in this situation. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And we will be doing more, I feel, because there is so much more to be said. So any of your questions, as we said, I'll be putting this out on YouTube, and whoever else puts it out, put your questions there, or you can send Sister Nya a private message, or I, if there's any questions. But what I would love to have is the questions asked publicly, so that then when we respond to a question, we educate so many more by doing that one thing instead of replying to a private message to one and only giving that answer to one. We are more proficient and quicker by giving the answer and sharing it to everyone. So any of those, please put your comments or your questions out publicly, and that's very important. So thank you. So with this, love, light, and gratitude to you all. Thank you, Sister Nya, and have an amazing day. We'll keep you updated. Big love. Bye.